Hello, welcome to another live. So today my hair is looking amazing, phenomenal. It's very important for me. Um, well, today we're going to be about cylinder heads. Um, I'm going to be talking a bit about the cylinder head porting, what's important, what's not important, um, and what actually, how badly you can make a cylinder head, or how worse you can make a cylinder head by doing the wrong things to it. So there's a lot of people doing like porting and then not seeing proper results. I spoke a bit about it when I talked about port speeds on a previous video, but there's, I think, a bit more that you guys should understand in terms of the dynamic of the port itself on a head, so you can understand the flow the head is going to have, or like what impact it will have. As you know, like I do spend a lot of time on Flowbench, and this is the only reason why I've learned so much. Now I know a few people that also do cylinder heads, and this was a few years ago. I told someone if he was actually putting the heads on a Flowbench to see what was doing before and after, and his answer was print screen of a car that he has done a head on, and it again was like everywhere with the head. Fair enough, but means he's done his job right. But he said he never used a Flowbench. The thing with this is you can be good, but you can also be better. And the only way for you to find how much better you can be is if you do your job right. Now, the other thing is on the car you've done that, the cylinder head might be one of those cases. They are so bad, it's easy to make them better. Which I don't know. I cannot recall what it was at the time, but I don't use that as a good example. Because all it takes is for you to tune it slightly different, and then the results are going to be different. So I don't associate myself with that. I prefer to see the things like back to back, like in the Flowbench and then on the dyno, so I can actually see how much more I actually have put into it. Now, so as you guys know, the cylinder head I mentioned to you before, it's the most critical component when it comes to make power. So because, as I said, the engine is an air pump, is a big air pump. So the better breathing in and out it has, the more power it's going to produce. That is plain and simple. But it's not that simple. There's so many head designs, so many port angles, so many port designs. The combustion chamber shape itself, it has an impact on performance as well. You really have to study it in detail in order to make sure you're doing the right thing. And again, if it comes to a cylinder head that was never done before or something, it's like I always like to spend some time looking at it before I do it. Now the thing is, because of the experience I have on the Flowbench and everything, I now understand better the way air behaves inside the port. So I know which area is critical to make the power, and what area is critical to have the airspeed. So I started to come to the conclusion. It's I look at the cylinder head as a funnel. Okay. So, and this is very simple because, like, if you see a funnel, okay, you can have a very big mouth on top, but if the end is very small, it's only going to pass whatever it lets pass through there. And so the thing in here is, I see a lot of people with cylinder heads. I have done it in the past. No, it's just it's the truth. Where we think, like, we have the misconception that the bigger the port is, the more flow it will have. Not quite, no. As a matter of fact, if you make the port bigger than what it should be, you end up with a cylinder head that actually flows less because it dropped the port speed completely. It might not lose that much flow, but it will lose the port speed that you need. So therefore, the throttle response is not going to be great. Power gain is not going to be there. So this is why it's important to have everything addressed properly. So you got three areas that are very critical on the port, and the most important of all is actually the valve seat. So that is the throat. If you think about what I just said on the funnel, the throat is the end of that funnel. So if you don't do a job that is decent on that part, you can really seriously hurt the flow. So starting by a decent valve angle job, if you put something that is not quite on the right shape in there, it's one of the areas that hurts the flow the most. Okay, so the way the air is directed to the throat, it's extremely important. So, and the way it enters the throat. So the less turbulence you have on that area, like on the throat just before the cylinder, the better it is. You want the flow to be laminated so it sticks to the cylinder wall, and then it has a bigger area virtually. So this is the thing. So to me, when I go ahead, one of the areas I pay the most attention to is that. So in that aspect, what do I do? Myself, I do nothing. I don't touch it. So I got someone that does it for me. So all or most of our cylinder heads, like our top level cylinder heads, have CNC valve seat cut. So, and the thing is, they are done in a way that it stops the air from detaching from the wall, and that on its own increases flow. Now, there's other things you have to know, like there's a ratio, an ideal ratio between the lift you're going to be using and the throat size. And it happened something funny. When I moved up north, where I am now on the workshop, like the guys that do this for me, they are 2 hours away from where I am. And I decided I'm going to take my heads to another machine shop that is more local to me. It just makes sense. It's pointless for me to be traveling so far just to have this done. So I'll find someone else to do the valve seat cutting, and I'll use them. So I went there. Like, there's a lot of people that work with a Surdy, which is extremely common. It does the job well, but if you can do it a little bit better, I'd rather have it a little bit better. But it will also work. It's not going to be a huge difference. Let's say it will change the flow by 2-3%. It's not big, but you know, we really want to have everything the best we can give. So this is why we should work that way. This is on our high-level cylinder heads. Now, I went there and I told the gentleman what I wanted on the cylinder head, and the owner of the place, which, like, this is a reputable machine shop from what I've seen. He looked at me and he said, "I don't understand what you're asking." So I was referring to him the throat. I wanted the throat size, and I said to him, I want the throat at X%. Like, I told him the value. I don't want to really start talking too much about the percent of the throat, but the throat as a percentage of the diameter of the valve. Okay, this is where you see the size. So I told him, and I stood there for like 15 minutes trying to explain to him what I meant. And at the end, he said to me, "I've been on this business for 45 years, and I never seen anyone directing, giving me instruction to such a technical level." Now, it's not like because I'm better than the others. No, it's just because I like to understand the technicality of it and tell what size it needs to be with a technical level. So The thing is, end up like he only done one cylinder head for me or two, and then I haven't worked with him anymore. I rather travel the 2 hours and have the other person doing it, wait for longer, but have it done the way I'm used to, because I know the results are going to be better. Now the thing is, there's I explained to you like cross sectional areas and everything, and like on the port. So you start by that, which is to me is the most important part. That goes into a certain percentage of the valve diameter. Now, the thing is, there is areas where it's going to a certain diameter is not bigger the better at all. It's not, because it will 100% depend on how much lift you're going to be running on the valve. If you start making it too big, you lose, believe it or not, you lose CFM on low lift. If you make it too small, you will hurt CFM at high lift. So you have to find a compromise for what you're going to be using. And the genuine truth about it is the only way for you to really find it is with a flow bench. You cannot just guess it, put it on the car, take it off, and just it will work. Try it, see how much power it makes. No, because certain things cannot be seen just on a dyno plot. And the good example I have of that is when I fitted the intake manifold on our customer car, the one we've done for our N44 engine. On the dyno, it was okay. It made 10 HP more at wheels. It made a little bit less torque down low, but driving the car was a completely different experience. It felt so much nicer everywhere. It was with less throttle, the car was moving better. And bear in mind, using a throttle body exactly the same diameter. So I didn't want any bigger on throttle body because for the target we have, it doesn't need it. And we don't want to oversize on the throttle body. There's no point. It can be done in a later stage if you want to go bigger. But the throttle body I'm using, it gives us the chance to do that. So it can be ported to use a bigger butterfly sign. So the thing is, this is what is going to make the combo better is when you start working on this. So it's straight after that the size using it, and of course again comes down to what are you going to be using it for? What is the aim on it? So you have to really think about it. It's not like I had someone asking me to do a cylinder head for the United States. He spoke to me yesterday, and he's really keen on buying our V5 head, the top of the range cylinder head. I'm not sure what he's going to be using the car, but it doesn't seem to me like it's going to be for racing or anything. He just says he wants to rev it really high and all that. But if a V5 head is not, you don't really need it for a daily car. You don't take the full advantage out of it. So to our V5 head, it's more focused to builds that people are planning to do over 240 bhp. They will need that cylinder head to cope with it. Now, for example, you come to that, if you have, for example, a road car, it's not that they work bad. No, they work really well. But you probably you would do better with a cylinder head with a smaller port volume, so you have better gas speed. Now, this is where it's very important to decide what is your target and what are your aims and stuff like that, so you can actually make the best out of your setup, or when you're putting it together, at least you choose the best for the combination you want. You don't choose just the best because it's the most expensive one and it's the best there is. No, you buy the best for the combination and the target you have. Now, back to the to the port itself. Pardon, guys. I'm going to do some drawing in here. If I find the pen. Yeah, I found it. It's a bit far, so there's another one. I'm going to try to do a simple drawing of it. So let's say in here, it's going to be where the valves are, okay? Then it goes like this, and so this in here, it's the port, the way it's going to look. and this area, air goes through here, goes through the sides. In here, usually you have an area called chokes. So this is great for your drivability. So when you have a car, when you're driving at mid throttle and everything, it just what gives you a nice feel on it. Better port speed, nice torque. But the problem with this is it restricts flow. So again, this is why it's important to know what you're going to buy. And like this is one of the things when you change it, of course you take it. All of a sudden you have a much bigger port volume. Yeah, because this is wrong. You gain CFM, but then you lost port speed. And if you lost port speed, your transient throttle is not going to be as good. So again, you have to really think what is the best head for you. So you cannot just go balls out and make everything as big as possible and just go for power. If it's a road car, you guys should really, or I mean road, I don't mean like a car you drive every day. I mean like even a fast road car. You really need to consider if that's really what you want to do. Then the area that most people do the biggest mistake, people by making this bigger, let's say go from this size to this, it makes it flow more. Now, again, let's look at this as a funnel, okay? A funnel has this shape, right? And we fill it out from the top, and then it comes out of the bottom, right? Now, I mean, right in front of it. The thing in here is, in here, it doesn't matter. I can make a funnel this size, this small, or this big. The amount of fluid or whatever we pass through here is always going to be the same, unless it's under pressure, which is a different thing. But both on the same pressure, it's going to pass exactly the same amount, regardless of the size you have at the top. Where is the difference going to be? So you have a much bigger volume in here, right? So the area here is a big volume, and in here you got a small volume. So this is going to take a while to start coming down because it's quite a big area to empty such a small hole. Same happens in here. When you make the airspeed in here is going to be low because the air in here is not quite right for it. So this is the part that is important. So by making this bigger, you're not gaining anything. In here, you're just losing. You're losing your throttle response. You're losing your torque band. You know, you're going to have a narrower power band because to get to the speed where this actually works, it needs to rev really high. So it's completely pointless to make it bigger. You're not gaining any CFM because the CFM is actually made in here. So in here, on the floor, this area. So where the chokes are, the radius of the floor, the seats, where 90% accounts to. Of course, it has to be an ideal size for the port, and this comes down to the cross-sectional area. And that will be directly related with the size of the valve. So this is the thing. If you get everything working in harmony, you have a really good port design. And this is the only reason why we managed to go from on the N44 head, we managed to go from 212 CFM stock to 289 CFM, which is a 1 mil oversize. On the same valve size, we went up to 266 CFM, if I'm not wrong. So it's quite a jump. We have 21% increase in CFM, and that is huge, while still keeping a very good port speed. That's because everything was worked within the dimensions that it should have. So this is the thing. Like certain engines, the valves are extremely big for the cross-sectional area, so you can actually make the ports bigger, and you will see a gain. Now, there's no gain without a loss, and this comes down to that thing I explained before on port speed. You have to balance the things. Try to not lose. You don't want to lose 100 feet per second of port speed to gain 20 CFM. You're losing more than what you're gaining. So, of course, ultimately depending for what you want. If it's a drag application, it's not quite like that because you're going to be always up there and it's very short. But like for normal-ish stuff, you don't really look at it. Josh asked, does throttle pulse tuning effective? No, throttle pulse tuning, it's other thing. I might cover that area at some other stage. That has to do with it's to do with the how you call it, the opening and closing the valve, the resonance of the air, like the way it travels, what happens when the valve shuts. Now, certain areas on the port can be work to help on the pulse tuning effect, namely the bowel area. So this area, okay, can be worked to make the most out of them, but it doesn't change, doesn't affect it. It just makes it more beneficial, takes more advantage out of it. So, but that's nothing to do with the CFM. This is the thing. We're talking about the porting of the head. Well, this is another subject. See, the thing is this matters when you start looking at it on the scientific side of it to try to understand it. They become so, there's so much to it. There's so many factors that you have to consider. And the more you know about it, sometimes more confused you get. Because it's that intricate. It's really complex to look at it. It's simple to execute. I'll call it simple to someone that has some practice working with a Dremel, they can do it. But to understand like what it's going to do or try to predict what it's going to do, it's quite hard. But the thing is, you have to really spend time on the flow bench to try to analyze. But the basic principle of it is look at the port as a funnel. So it's, if you work at it like that, it's beautiful, it's easy, so you will understand what it is. And then now the other thing is what is the ideal radius, then cross-sectional area, sorry, for the port itself? What is like at the entry of the port? What is the ideal, or for the runner? What is the ideal? So you have to look at the valve, okay, and then of course you have to look at your I call it the throat area. So let's put it this way: most manufacturers, okay, they use the throat areas at 86%. I've seen from 84 to 86% what they usually do. And this is really good for a standard cam, or slightly better than standard cam, a cam that is not so aggressive, because this helps the flow down low. Okay, it increases the speed of it. It works really well. So you have, let's put it this way, you got 35 mil valves. Okay. Now, first thing you do is you get the 86% of the 35 mil. So 5 times 0.96. So it is 33. Okay. I'm missing something. Okay. I think it is. My head is not working well today, so I guys. The problem with doing the videos this late is I had a long day today, and I'm feeling a bit under the weather as well. Yeah, it is. This is 33, so I don't know what's wrong with it. So 33 mil. This is the 96% on the throat. Okay, 96, sorry. 86, not 96. You guys wouldn't be left with a fucking state. See? This is why it was not making sense. At night, like 90% is like used on very high race applications, really high end and big valves. You can use 90%. Let's say 86, not 90. Sorry. So 86. So this is how it makes more sense. Otherwise, I have no speed. That's why it was not adding up. So 30 mil, okay, on a 35 mil valve. So you got, you got the diameter on that hole is 30 mil. So now we need to calculate the cross-sectional area of that. And you do, it's just the area of it. So you can do also the mass. So the radius times 2.14. So that's 47. Right. So doing from 50 times 0.. So 700 millimeters, which is quite a lot. Anyway. Now, to get this, the what is? Oh, sorry, I got a message from people. So I should do this. Another thing I'm doing wrong. I should do this in inches, not in millimeters, because I'm more used to inches, and these values are looking really odd to me. So sorry, guys. This is the problem of being live and being. Oh yeah, people are already leaving. Bye. I'm joking. So sorry, really sorry. 35 mil. It is, how much is this in inches? I should go and sleep. Cannot even find my converter. Inches. 1.18 inches. Yay! Thank you. Thank you. So 1.18, we divide that by 2. Or you can do 1.18 times 1.18 times 3.14 divided by 4. And that is 1.09. Okay, now you have, I know that I had it in there, 706. But let's go to inches because I'm more, as I said, I'm more used to it. And then when it comes the time to calculate the port speed, you actually need it to be in the inches with the formula that I gave before. So we have, but then we have half. Okay, so we can multiply this by 2 equal 2.18 inches squared. And this is the ideal cross-sectional area for the port, for the valve you have. Now, depending on the shape of it, you might want to make it slightly larger in some areas, so it helps the air flowing, especially when you have bends, because you want to increase the area where the air can pass to let it pass freely. Because the ideal thing on a port would be if the port was like this. That's it. But the port is never straight. So because it's never straight, it has bends. Bends generate turbulence because the air wants to come this way. It never wants to go that way. So it in here will create a low pressure area, and then the air will detach from there, come and move away from it. So this is why it's very important to get the shape of the port as well. Right. So the more the port is like this, like this, like with less thing in here, the better it is. So the air actually comes this way. If you have a port that is like this, it's really bad because a lot of flow is lost in here because the air tends to go like this and doesn't really want to do that. So you're going to lose a lot. Then if you can, make it like that. By making it like that, that's it. You're going to bring the speed of the port up on that area. Yeah, you did. So, and then you have a more efficient port. And all comes down to this. So this is the beauty on it, on the thing, and this is like ideal. Also, you can use this as the ideal size for your manifold, intake manifold, internal diameter. If you have this, it should work as a treat. So to keep the ideal ratio, you can make it smaller, bigger, like you can reduce the airspeed on it. It's, as I said, it comes down to whatever you want to do on it. This is on the intake. And what about the no? The exhaust is one of those that is very tricky because on the exhaust port, and this is really strange, and I've seen this from someone that has many years of building race engines, and this is something that I got really like, wow, I didn't expect that at all. The exhaust port, the actual CFM of the port is not as important as the volume of the port. And this is really a strange one, because for me that I always studied so much in terms of getting the most CFM out of it, to actually see that, which is said on the report I was seeing from this engine builder, like the ports he was using on the exhaust flowed, I think it was 30 CFM less than what they could get out of it with a smaller and slightly different shape of port, but the engine was producing 5% more power, and that is crazy. That is really crazy. And the other thing is, I did some studying on some super touring engines and the S1600 rally engines, and I always found they had huge ports, huge exhaust ports. So on the exhaust port, of course, on the race application, this is the exhaust port actually wants to be big. It doesn't care how much it flows, it just wants to be big. On the exhaust is not quite the same on the exhaust manifold, because then you have to make use of that. Remember, this is on engines that are race applications. On a road application, it's different. You have to look into the CFM and port speed to have the best cabbaging to help through the curve. Now, in terms of exhaust port, what difference does it make having a better exhaust port? And today I got my laptop in here, one from my diner. So this is going to be an awkward one because I'm looking at a laptop with a camera pointing at another laptop, so it's going to be funny. So second, going. So don't say that. Okay, there we go. So this is a good one, very good comparison. I'm just opening it. Give me just a moment. I'm just the right one. I got so many dyno runs. It's crazy. Okay, got it. Yeah. So, right. This is okay. I need to. Sorry, I need to find some other test for my one. Because I opened this before. Not this. I got it's. I'm trying to go through like 200 and something tests, so not really ideal to look for it. There we go. Boom, boom. Found it. Okay. Yeah, got it. Now, this try to. This is going to be really. Can you guys see? I'm going to try to. This is very unprofessional, but I'm not no YouTube now, so try to understand. Okay, the difference is one of them is a proper exhaust port. It's like the V1 head versus the V5 head here. Like what the difference is here is all relating to the exhaust ports. They similar cam and they really don't export. So we got here, they can very similar, okay, and then this one the ported head keeps on gaining here, and then stays higher, and just goes higher all the way. And as you can see, it just makes more power, more power, keeps on growing higher. And we have a bit of, yeah, there we go. So the higher the RPM, the biggest difference becomes, even on this mild cam. And we got that, for example, at 6.2, there's a difference of 12 nm. It starts the difference from 4, 5, at 5 like goes 5, and then keeps on going bigger, slightly bigger, the more you raise, slightly bigger. And this is why it then makes such a, as you can see, it just keeps the same distance. We got in here 13 nm at one point. Anyway, so this is what it does. The exhaust port helps the air getting out of the other end, so the engine will have less hard time pulling the air out. So this is why, like in some cam applications, you have the exhaust cam has slightly more duration, and this is only to bring a bit more power out of it, because usually the exhaust port tends to flow less than the intake by quite a margin. So there's a ratio for it, and depends on how you're going to use it again. To find the ideal ratio for it, but like it's very hard to make it very similar, and I never seen a head that flows like, let's say, it flows almost the same value. It's usually like oof, the exhaust port flows around, I would say, 40% of what intake does. It's quite a big difference. So, or 70%. It goes like it varies from 40 to 70%. It's depending on the head. So that's the thing. As you like doing the right selection on the head is very important. So you can see, like for example, our V5 head has a big exhaust port. which is perfect for things like this, but it's only top end you're going to see. If there's areas here down low, it has actually a little bit less torque. It made less power, all because of the exhaust port. Now, on this engine, for example, we have vanos. We can change things around and make it slightly better, move it a bit. But on these two engines with very similar spec, we had a difference of 11 bhp, which is noticeable. So, and it's noticeable mostly because the average power, because of all that range where it had more torque, which is top end, it's always more. We got more average torques all the way through. It's from 212 to 204. So one that has still the small exhaust port, it's quite a bit of a difference. And then is 156 to 152. So that's the thing. It's one of those that you have to really see what you want. Like, it's not like one is a lot better. No, it's just two different applications. One is made to have a broader torque band. The other one is made to start making more power. It's starting to go to the other side of the spectrum. So it's what it is. You know, we spoke about so many things that you guys start to understand now. Like there's no better or worse. That is different, and it's better for whom and for what. So that's the thing. Even when a cylinder head is done, everything has to be taken into consideration this way. So now it's time for me to start answering questions that you guys might have. Any questions? Did you guys understood everything, like roughly? Any questions? Yes. Haha, Radu. Here we go. What a surprise, you have a question. Go for it. It's clear I have a question. Is recommended on a ported head to rev higher? Is it right? The ported head doesn't have to do with how much you're revving. The cams do. This is other thing, is like people say, I want to rev higher, so I'm going to port the head. No. The ported head is going to give you more power, but only if the cams allow you to rev high. You know, it's pointless. You know, on standard cams, I'll give you a good example. Standard cams, M42s, M44s, the ones I've done loads of them. I have a lot of testing done on them. On the standard cams and standard head, I can change the cam timing and I can make power up till late with our intake manifold. We usually make peak power at around 7.1, 7.2, at the expense of some torque loss down low. With a V2 head on top of it, even if it was a bigger head, so the result is going to be the same, but V2 is ones I've done the most. With the cam timing also done, it makes more power. It makes around 10 bhp more, but it makes it exactly at the same RPM. It's no difference at all. The thing is, it flows the same. The cam, it exposes. I explained this about the cams. So you need to see the duration in time. The cam is open at a certain RPM, and that is never going to change. Just because it moves more air at that RPM now, because the head is bigger, it increases the torque. So increasing the torque means you make more power. So this is the thing. You don't need to, and this is the thing. It's the RPM in terms of a head. It doesn't exist. Like, you can prepare the head to rev higher, but you do that with the valve component. So lighter valve train or upgraded springs and all that. This is how you get the head to handle more RPM, but the ported head doesn't have to rev any higher. It allows you to rev higher because it just produces more all the way through. So that's the thing. 11, what is your question? No, you don't port ahead according to a cam. No, you port ahead according to what you want to achieve. The cam is a completely different thing. Don't mix it. It's two separate things. The cam gives you how we call it, a power band. Okay, you know it's going to work between this, like let's say 3,000 and 7,000. Okay, ahead has no limit on the power band. Has limit in RPM depending on the valve train. You see, you touched a very important thing in here, 11. And it's something you just said now, it's right. But you cannot get 39 mil. And the problem with 39 is also doesn't flow as much as you want it to. You see, it's like there isn't 39 to start with. There is 40, but on ITVs, the minimum ITV you get on for an M42 is 42 mil, which is the closest you're gonna get. The internal diameter of the like the internal sectional area of the M42s, M44s intake manifolds, they are actually 38, I think, but they don't work that well because they are too long. But yeah, you are right. You're doing the things the right way. Well done. So yeah. Can you explain why 2.8 has a bad rod ratio? Bad rod ratio, the thing is, it's bad if you want to rev high. It's not bad. Okay. It could be better. It has to do with RPM, what you're revving to. And I talked about this before, and the rod ratio starts to affect it when you start revving really high. But most people don't really rev them high. So it's better to have a worse rod ratio, so the car feels it's better down low. So we got 84 mil stroke, okay, which is the stroke it has, and the rod is 135 mil long. Now, 84 divided by 135, the other way around, sorry. 135 divided by 84. This is a 1.60 rod ratio. 1.60 ratio, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you M44 is extremely similar and it's a nice rod ratio to rev high. So we got 83.5 and 140. And we got rod ratio of 1.67, call it 1.68. 1.68. Now, if you want to leave on mid-range, let's say up to 6.5, 7,000 RPM, you're better off with this. If you want to start revving high, start making power top end, you're better off with this. The thing is, when you really want to start revving high, the ideal rod ratio is 1.7 onwards. It's bigger than 1.7 ratio. And as you see in here, this is quite far away. This is not that far away. This one is not worse, it's far worse. The ones that have 105 mil. The case of the 330. And this is why they hate revving. And this is a very poor rod ratio, as I'm going to show you. So this is a rod ratio of 1.5. Great for driving around to the shops and back. Not great for anything else. You start revving this high, all you're going to have is it's with the crank, okay? This is the rod against the piston, this is the piston here, My drawing is a bit odd. Like has been boosted and bent to rod. So like this here. So, if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this image, this thing I just done. Look how much angle it has. Okay, if this rod was longer, the angle wouldn't be as steep. So the force applied to the sidewall of the cylinder, it's not as strong. Therefore, reduce friction, reduce temperature, everything is better. When you start running. Also, the load applied on the upper bearing on both is going to be less on this one than this one. And this is one of the reasons why S54s have problems. And when you open them, you will see it's always the top one that's the issue. And this is one of the things that is related with it. So when you start running really high, you really want to have a nice run ratio. So above 7, it's okay. It's not too bad, you know. But the thing is, you 7K on a 2.8. I have never seen a 2.8, even with cams, making power above 7K. I haven't at all. It's just maybe 7.2, but more than that, I haven't yet. So I'm still to see that happening. It might be your one when it comes to us. So you also said some time ago that M42 only had the first from late one flow. What is the difference in this 4 bhp difference between the two engines? There was some discuss about this on M42 group. I don't want to get involved on this because this comes down to the thing I explained before on the runner length. This is only something that changes the length of the runners on the manifold. So an M42 E36 manifold has better mid-range than an E30, all because it can extend the size of the runners. It depends what cams you have. The RPM is directly related with the cams you're going to have. Okay, so that is the thing. Regardless, you can do whatever you like. If you don't have a cam that allows you to rev high, you will not rev high, or you can rev high, but you will gain nothing out of it. What makes it the thing is for the thing on in terms of RPM, it's and gain with RPM, it's cam, nothing else. You see, so this is why, and I think you need to go and see the video where I explain the what cam duration really does. You see, so you can understand better what it made. But like for example, the 2.8 I got built, that thing should rev and make power up to 8,000 RPM. It was built to do that. So, but it has a very aggressive cam. You see, it has a cam that has over 240 degrees of duration at 1 mil of lift. So it's a cam that is trimmed to work around, you know, the power band on that cam, I would say, is between 4 to 8,000 RPM. You know, it's going to be around there. So you're going to make power all that way. But then, of course, it sacrifices the torque download. That is the thing you have to think is the cam will start sacrificing it. But so it all depends what you really want to achieve. That is it. So everyone is clarified now. Dimo, did you understand the rod ratio situation now? Is it clear for you? Thanks. Do you have a shop in Portugal? How can I buy something without paying EU customs? I do have a representative in Portugal. It's called Wild Motors. It's in Sacavém, and if you are on north, I got 13's garage, which is the gentleman that has the 318 AS turbo with the hour head and manifold and stuff. At the moment, I will not recommend you to order anything from UK. The delays are up to 3 months going to Portugal, and which is really appalling. And no one knows how much custom is going to be applied. But from what I've seen, it's they don't have a tax yet for it, so there's no custom to pay. The other thing is none of my, how you call it, representatives in Portugal have parts in stock at the moment because of what was happening through COVID. There was no much point on restocking because there was not enough activity, and the Portugal market is a bit complicated to work with in terms of what you will stock and what worth stocking, because people change their mind too often. They rather go online and see what doesn't make power and buy that than go and use a proven product. So unfortunately, that's the way they work, I think. I got people sending messages here. Just a second. Let me see. Now, a funny thing, I think it's worth talking about. I posted a video of a 318 IS Turbo in here yesterday. I posted a few videos. I hope you guys have seen it and enjoyed it. I'm going to do another video tonight to put on the channel. Not like this type, is the type of car sounds and whatnot. Anyway, and someone asked if it was still on standard internals. Now, I've done the boost video explaining how things are, and the car at the moment is making over 400 bhp, and the standard internals wouldn't really cope with it. Now, the only way to find how much it can cope with has to do with experience, generally, on this case, because you have to start tuning the car with boost and see how much the car is actually making versus what ignition timing you have on it. Now, when you increase the boost, you have to reduce the ignition advance, all to do with the detonation, with cylinder temperature, cylinder pressure increases, the pressure increase, temperature goes up, it's more likely to detonate. So you want to retard the ignition. Now, it's only good to retard up to a point. The way I see it, if an engine, I start tuning it, putting boost on it, and then I start to have to retard and keep on going, I usually stop when it goes down to around 10 degrees. Why? When you start retarding the ignition timing, you start increasing the exhaust temp. So because it's later, it's closer to when the valve event is there, so you're going to have a much hotter exhaust side, and that can lead to exhaust valves failing, and loads of things start going wrong. So this is where you find when it's time to reduce compression. Of course, you also have to think the piston has to deal with a lot more pressure, and the temperature on a cast piston can be quite harsh. Temperature with pressure, they can break the ring glands, they can crack, they can get a hole on it. It's far easier for them to go wrong. They expand too much because of the temperature. They can deform. It's just a cast piston, depending on the quality of it. I've seen pistons on very odd shapes before because of excessive boost and not enough ignition. So this is why I say all this. People might think, oh, it cannot happen. Oh, it actually can. I've seen quite a lot of wrong pistons. I've seen pistons with shapes I never thought I could see, all because they didn't have enough ignition, or it's just purely due to heat inside the combustion chamber. The other thing is the conrods. How much power can it take per cylinder? Does the M42, M44 have anything in common with six-cylinder ones, like the new BMW engine? They are just fake. They do. An M42 is a four-cylinder version of. It's not quite a four-cylinder version of it. It's very similar to an M52, an M50. M44, it's completely different. And you're saying a funny thing, because the newer BMW stuff, the six-cylinder are not the same as a four-cylinder, because I work on them. The N series, they are not the same. It looks similar, it has parts that are similar, but they are not the same. It has more in common, actually, on the M42s, M44s, in terms of the head, for example, and pistons and rods and everything, on that generation, than what it has on the newer gen. the well, diesel ones are okay. Diesel, I don't know diesels. So the diesel ones are just not what I do. But on the diesel, actually, I believe it's the same. Because I worked before on the 320Ds and the 330s, and the engines are pretty much the same, just with extra 2 cylinders. So, but on the petrol ones, it's not quite the same story. So that's the thing. Anyway, guys, okay, this video today was not my finest. I'm feeling very tired today. Also, I was not sure what subject to bring, because I asked you guys to give me a subject to talk about, because I already have a lot in my head to think about, and you guys didn't. So I just decided, let me take this into, so just clear some more misconceptions that people might have in terms of in terms of whatever, like what is what, and like the head, where the power is, where the gain is, and stuff like that. So anyway, as I said, please bring the subject in. Leave it on the comments, please. Not on today, but like when I finish the video, you guys can comment on what you would like me to talk about. Other thing is, like, I'm not as active at the moment on Instagram, and I mentioned on last video, is purely because I'm doing quite a lot of new parts at the moment. So this is why I am not like that active, and generally I'm training new people as well, because we're having new staff starting, and we really like have a lot on at the moment, and I'm sure you guys can see by my face I'm very tired. So this is it. I'm going to end this video here. Again, thank you very much, guys, for everyone that stayed there all this time. You know, as I said, it's not my finest today. I'm feeling very tired. I hope you guys have no doubts like about the things I explained. If you do, please leave on the comments. Try to get more people involved. We are growing slowly, but surely we are. We're still around the same number of people on the lives for the past 4 lives. Like last one was really good. I really enjoyed it. We had over 20 people watching it, which is great. Today we got half of that. We got 10. It's fine, I'm happy with that, but I would like you guys to interact more, to get more into it, you know, so we can make these videos a lot more engaging for other people to get in. It's more fun, you know. Thank you, Bruno. Pure class, as always. Get some rest. Cheers, everyone. Okay, that's it. And this is an hour of video today. Let's end it in here. Bring up a subject for Wednesday video, guys. Please do. Please write a subject when I finish this video. Leave a comment on it when it's ready to be seen on YouTube. Just leave a subject for me to discuss on next video. And if I can discuss it, I will. If I cannot discuss it, I will just say I don't know how to talk about it, because it might happen. I don't know everything. I do have a lot of knowledge in terms of the engine side of things and car setups and stuff. But there's some things I don't know. Don't ask me about electrics, because I'm zeroed it. So that is it. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. All of you have a good evening or a good day, depending on where you are. I hope you enjoyed it again. And thank you very much. See you Wednesday, 7 p.m. UK time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.